If you've ever found yourself questioning the system, battling that inner voice saying something's not right, while every doctor tells you everything looks normal, you are going to feel so seen in this episode. Today, you are going to meet Katie. She is a mom of two, a mentor in the Rebalancing Collective, and her story is one I know so many of you will connect with. We talk about the overwhelm of stepping into motherhood when nothing goes as planned, the heartbreak of watching your child struggle while feeling so dismissed by the system, and the incredible transformation that happens when you finally trust yourself and lead your family toward true foundational healing. Katie's journey is going to remind you that your intuition is the most powerful thing you have, that your questions are valid, and that healing is possible, even when you feel defeated, dismissed, and discouraged, even when you've been told there are no answers. Welcome to the Follow Your Gut podcast, the show for the woman who's ready to stop outsourcing her and her family's health and start leading it. I'm your host, Juniper. Every week, I'll teach you how to understand your body and your child's symptoms through the lens of the gut so you can take clear, confident steps towards real healing. This isn't about chasing symptoms or following trendy protocols. This is about foundational healing, where we get to the root of it all, your gut. I am so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Katie. We are all so excited to get to know you and to hear your story. So I just want to dive right into this. Can you start by introducing yourself, who you are as a woman, and your beginning journey into motherhood, and eventually what led you to Only, and now being a mentor in the Rebalancing Collective? That was just a lot, but we really just want to get to know you and how you found yourself here. And then we can't wait to hear your story healing your boys.
Yeah, gosh, I don't even know where to start. My name is Katie. I am a stay-at-home mom of two little boys, Zion, who's almost 2.5, and then Jet, who's 11 months. And as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a mom. I was an elementary school teacher for my career before I had kids, and it was just like, it felt like this is what I'm like meant to do, just to be around kids and love kids. And my husband and I ended up moving overseas to Japan once we got married. And so I stopped teaching, and I was so excited to get pregnant, and we did shortly after we got to Japan, but I was so overwhelmed because I was just like, I don't know how to do this. And then we're in another country and, the language barrier and all of that. But it was just so exciting. I couldn't wait for the day. And so my pregnancy went really well, and I got to about 40 weeks in 2 days, and I ended up having an emergency C-section, and I had a placental abruption. And so that kind of just threw us in sort of like a whirlwind of what is happening to me. And now I have to step into motherhood and be present for this baby. And it was just like, I was just so overwhelmed.
Were you in Japan for a birth then?
I was in Japan for birth. Yeah. Yeah. I had planned on a natural delivery. They were like, oh, we actually don't have epidurals. Because I walked in like, I don't know about this pain thing. Give me an epidural. And they were like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But it was just kind of this start to motherhood that, you learn as time goes on. Nothing ever happens the way that you expect it to. And you just have to kind of be along for the ride. But it just really threw me because it just was not my plan. And so I noticed really shortly after Zion was born that things just were coming up that were really, I don't know, it was like, that mother's intuition that just sometimes you're like, I know something feels off, but I can't explain it. And so we ended up coming back to America when he was 3 months old. But he initially had this reflux that was just so excessive. And I come from like a very Western medicine influenced way of thinking. It's just, I was not familiar with the holistic space. Everything that I had tried just kind of felt like this is snake oil. This is not working. Everybody's saying this is the way, this is the way. But I just had never had an experience with it that worked for us. And so I just was battling once I had him, like, I don't know that I trust this system anymore. And I don't know why. But so basically, it started where he was having this severe reflux, and everyone was telling me he's fine, he's fine. And I was like, man, something in me is saying it's not
So,
fine.
like, were you going to pediatricians here in the States?
Yeah. So as soon as we got back, I started going to the pediatrician like way too frequently. And it was, he's fine, he'll grow out of it. It's normal. And I was like, this just doesn't feel right to me. So we ended up getting referred to GI, and GI was basically like, okay, I have a couple options. One, omeprazole. Just try it, put him on it. We can be on it for however long. We can do a throat study, put him out, it'll be fine, or just accept it. And again, I was like, what? Those are my three options? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And I kept asking over and over again, but I want to get to the root. Why is this happening in his body? And we referred to an allergist, and he flagged for all the top allergens. And again, I was like, okay, we have no allergies in either side of our family. This makes no sense. So then it's like this whole time we're not sleeping because simultaneously he's got this like itchy scalp to the point of like he has open wounds, he's bleeding, he's flaking. And it was like, again, like, what is happening? And he was so miserable. He had some developmental delays. And so, yeah, I was just trying to figure out, like, somebody help my baby. Every time I would go to these professionals to get help, it was like, everyone just wanted to kind of medicate and band-aid, and no one was helping me understand the why. Um, so we were given steroids, we were given these diagnoses that just were just kind of ridiculous. So I just felt really defeated and at a loss, and was just like, man, this is not really the motherhood that I thought I was stepping into. Like, I don't want to be in denial if he does have any of these things that they're saying, but at the same time, I want to make wise decisions on behalf of my baby, and I don't want to put things in his body that don't need to be in his body. And so it just felt like the system was failing me. And I don't think it's all bad, but I just think there were things that were flagged in my gut that I was just like, this isn't right for us. And so it was like for about 9 straight months, I would just lay in bed with him. He would be moaning, itching, whining, like could not sleep, so restless. And again, everyone was like, well, he's a baby, he doesn't like, they don't sleep. And I'm like, no, again, it doesn't feel
Something
right.
isn't right. Yes.
Yeah, that was just the theme.
Before you keep going, can I just ask a couple questions? So, when you
Yeah.
had a C-section, did you have to have antibiotics for anything?
So I actually didn't receive any pain medication for about 40 something hours.
Okay.
They forgot to give me anything. So
Oh.
yeah, it was very, very traumatic. Yeah. So I think they gave me some Motrin, and that was it.
Okay. So, some Motrin, forgotten pain medication, but no antibiotics for anything.
No, but I had chronic yeast infections when I was pregnant. I had suffered with them like, growing up, but it was like so frequently that I kind of felt like this is so out of the norm, but I had
Mhm.
no framework for what was
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
Well, did anyone ask you if you had anything going on during pregnancy? Like, are there connections that we can make here?
Right.
And so, you as a first time mom going to the pediatrician and maybe different special at the allergist and different trying to seek help from all these different places and knowing that they're really trying their best,
Right.
but they're working under a system that's not designed to look for the root cause. So each specialist that we go to, they're trying to treat each individual symptom.
Right.
And here we are as very intuitive beings, the mothers that, all mothers are, where our guts are saying, no, 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 hold on a minute. Why?
Right.
Why? We want to understand why.
Right.
And it's really hard because we can be swept away in this system and just be like, okay, I don't know better. I don't know why inside. something's screaming at me, figure this out further. But
Right.
so often we get swept up in this, and suddenly we are on reflux medications and all of the different, strictly avoiding all of the allergens and like ripping out
Right.
your hair because as a breastfeeding mom, what in the hell are you supposed to eat?
Right.
And all of it is so much, Katie. And so, okay, well, thank you for sharing that part of your pregnancy because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know. It was just like all these individual puzzle pieces that I was just like, this has to come together somehow. I don't know how, but something has to connect the
Yeah.
dots. And so finally, when I started to doing a deep dive and found only, I was like, oh my gosh, all of this finally makes sense. And it was just like in that moment, I was like, for so long I had felt, with this intuition, it was like, I feel these things, I can't explain it. And
Mhm.
then when I finally found only and was like doing all this research, was like, okay, like this is the why, like this is the reason behind it. And I remember reading on some, I don't know if I heard it on one of your podcasts or on the website, but when you wrote like or said something about the root, finding the root of the problem, I was just like, finally, like this is what I've been searching for. Somebody to help us find the root because something's happening inside of him that's making all of these things happen. It can't just be like, I just didn't want to accept it is what it is because it wasn't.
Right. And a little bit ago, you said that you didn't want to be in denial
Right.
if these professionals were right,
Right.
but they were right. Right? He did have reflux. They were
Right.
telling you everything that you saw and that you already knew.
Right.
But there's just this missing piece in our system of how is all of this actually connected because there's not a single part of our body that's its own individual system.
Right.
And so, okay, let's keep going with your story.
Okay.
So he's
So
9 months now, right?
9 months, yeah. We
Okay.
were also sleep deprived. And it broke my heart to hear him just moaning in the middle of the night in pain, sitting up, itching, laying down. Um, And so, I mean, it wasn't severe as some of these stories that, get to be part of in the collective that I'm reading. But it gives me so much empathy because I'm like, oh, we had some form of it and it broke my heart. So it was so rough. And so I would just lay next to him because I would have to hold his arms down throughout the night. And I remember I would just lay there, start praying, like, God, help, like, lead me to something because every single road that I had gone down was a dead end. And in my own, like, wisdom, I was like, I have nothing else. Like, I don't even know where to turn. And so then I would just get on my phone and just scroll Instagram and try to numb because I was just like, for 5 minutes, I don't want to think about this. Like, it's just this weight that, like, I'm getting emotional because I feel like I'm reliving it. But it was just this weight that I was carrying on behalf of this sweet, innocent baby who couldn't communicate to me what was going on in his body. And so I was just numb and I was just like anything to fill my mind with something else. And I can remember it so vividly. I was scrolling, came across your post about your son, and I was just like, what kind of like big brother, like Instagram, like weird thing is like reading my mind right now? What is this? And so I remember reading your post and was like, there's just no way. Like you feel so alone in this moment and in this season of life. And it feels so dark. And I remember thinking, like, there's someone else on the planet who's experiencing symptoms or who has experienced symptoms like my son, and it has a reason behind it and there's why. And so I just immediately went on the website and just started like reading everything, and I was just like, I got to know what this is. And so I think I stayed up for like till like 3 in the morning just like reading. And I remember I started DMing you and I was like, what's the risk? Like, there's got to be a risk. And you were like, there's no risk. I'm like, what? Okay. What are the side effects? There are no side effects. I'm like, what? Okay. Is this too good to be true? What? And I remember because after the whole birth experience, I started therapy. And I remember talking to my therapist and saying, like, I don't know about this. Like, I, for some reason, have so much confidence in this, like, Western medical system, but it's failed me. And so I don't know how to feel confident in choosing this. Like, I want to believe it so bad. But, we've talked about this too. Like, so many people, when they finally find Only, are just like, I've tried everything. Like, I don't even know if this is going to work. Like, I'm so defeated. I'm out of money. I'm like, I want to believe it so bad, but I don't know how. And so I remember my therapist was like, it seems like what you've been doing isn't serving you. So what if this could? And what do you have to lose? Because it seems like, from what I was telling her, she was like, it seems like you have everything to gain. And I
Mm.
was like, that's what I need. And so I clicked purchase, we got it, and I was like, all right, here goes nothing. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to go in halfway. Like, there is not a single food, we said this too, like, there is not a single food on that list of foods to avoid that would have been worth it to keep in our diet in exchange for my son's healing. So I was like, if I'm going to try this and we're going to give it our best shot, I'm going all in. And I eat a lot of gluten. We eat a lot of dairy. Like, it was a complete 180 for our family. But I was like, I'm going to go all in. And so I think I did myself a disservice because I put a lot of stock in day 64. And I was just like, oh, by day 64, done with the first cleanse, he's going to be healed. And looking back now, I'm really grateful that he didn't heal by the first cleanse. We're on our third right now. I'm like, man, I don't know if I ever want to stop. But I was so grateful because now I understand that when the issues are so deep and they've been going on for so long, like, what is immediate healing? Like, I appreciate it so much now. Like, and I know that deep healing takes time. And I think I'll speak for myself. Like, I want the quick fix. I wanted in the past the drug I didn't care what it did to my body. I didn't want to feel the symptoms. I just wanted it to be done. And now, like, my baby is different. Like, every single symptom he has had, they're gone. And sometimes I have to stop and be like, whoa, like, I can't even, like, remember. Sometimes it was so bad, but it was so bad. And we've come so far. And I know he is healed from the inside out. And it's been so incredible. Like, his body is healed. So I'm so grateful for Only.
Well, I love your perspective on this. We can so easily attach to this timeline of like,
Yeah.
okay, this is 64-day rebalance. We're going to just knock it out. And you went in this with the most incredible, empowered energy of, we're going to go all in. And that energy of, if I'm doing this, I'm going to really do it. And it's hard to change our diet. It is a commitment, but we're always saying yes to something, and
Yep.
that yes means no to something else.
Yep.
And so, had you gone into this a little bit differently, you're like, oh, we're going to do it except this part, that's you saying yes to the ease of keeping those foods in your diet for this period of time, right? But that's saying no to this, to the healing that can happen on a faster timeline. And so you guys are on your third rebalance right now. But had you not gone all in, I don't know that you would have given yourself the opportunity to experience the healing to keep you going.
Right.
And that's why the food recommendations are there, is because if you are continuing to feed the yeast that is causing the symptoms,
Right.
then the healing is a lot slower. And so, first, amazing going at this the way that you did and seeing that there isn't a single food that is worth
Yeah.
these symptoms. And so, we're going to do everything we can. And then I love your perspective on it, how you're actually really grateful that it has taken more than 64 days, because that's something that we see a lot. Is the first round is like, okay, I'm learning this whole new lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting my feet under myself. We're starting to sleep again. I'm finally starting to feel like a human again. And some people do heal in that first 64 days. But if you listening are not among those people that heal in 64 days, seeing it as an opportunity to have more time to really create a solid foundation underneath yourself and your family
Ex-
is so powerful. And I feel like it's beyond that 64-day mark where we really see people turn this into a lifestyle
Mhm.
and really start to see the healing from the lens that you are talking about of like, oh, wow, like this has actually transformed me as a person. This
Yeah.
didn't just heal the itchy scalp and the reflux. This actually is like changing how I, as a woman, see the world and show up in motherhood. And wow, it's changing the way that your child speaks and the developmental leaps that you get to experience throughout the healing is so incredible, right?
Seriously, it's night and day. Just things I didn't even know possible. From where we started till now, he wouldn't even like try to repeat sounds. And now it's just like, I mean, he babbles, but it's like he has his own language and he's actually trying to like converse. But the biggest thing has been his comprehension. It is like phenomenal, like astronomically different from the second cleanse. So the third cleanse, now we're doing bind and remineralize. And so like from the second cleanse, the original kit to now, I'm like, how did you understand what I said? Like you're two, but he can do like 2, 3, 4 step commands that I'm like, oh my gosh, like it, he had so many delays for so long that the fact that he's catching up is just like so comforting because it breaks your heart as a mom too. You are given these expectations and like goals that they're supposed to meet as they're getting older, and he wasn't. And so just like, I don't know, it's just been night and day. And he was delayed on his walking. um, he was actually in physical therapy for a while and like just skyrocketed. The kid is like, was going from like barely walking to just running. We have to work on following directions and staying with mama wherever we go. We're still getting there because he's like, I have freedom now. Like he is on the go. So, I mean, that's hard, but at the same time, it's just so sweet because when you're in the thick of it, you just think like, are we ever going to get there? And honestly, like going back to rebalancing with bind and remineralize, I was just like, we've seen so much progress with the original kit that I wasn't convinced in my mind like we needed that deeper healing. And I wish we would have done it from the beginning, but like it's just been, like I said, astronomically different. And so I'm just so grateful that we chose to do another rebalance because I just know that all of that healing has just gone deeper and deeper. And it's evident by like it's coming out of who he is.
Incredible. And so, something I want to share with you is so, my son, it took us 2.5 years to figure this out and to start his healing. And what I experienced and what so many other families have shared is my son was basically, he was in survival mode for that first 2.5 years. And so his body wasn't prioritizing learning how to speak or he wasn't prioritizing development. It was
Mm.
prioritizing survival.
Sure.
And so in so many ways, it's like his development started at 2.5.
Really?
And so he's 11 now. And so we're many years down the road. And we homeschool. And this is a big part of it is because I just have this really deep trust that he is on his own timeline. And
Mhm.
when he's an adult, it doesn't matter when he learned how to read. It doesn't matter if he was 5 or he was 10. I want to hold a space where he gets to grow on his own timeline because his development really did start at 2.5. That's when his body shifted out of survival mode and into the capacity to start really comprehending and really learning and speaking. And so it takes time. And so what I always looked at is, let's say reading, for example, the US is obsessed with by 5, like they should be reading. And I've never been attached to that at all. But Waldorf is more like, okay, like 7, they'll really start being able to read with ease.
Mm.
And that's what I saw in my daughter. Fully self led. She was just there at 7. She just started reading. And so I was like, okay, so knowing that my son is about 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and I don't even want to use the word behind because it's not behind, but that his development really started 2.5 years later. I'm going to trust that around 9.5, he's just going to be ready. And I'm not kidding you, to a T, he read The Hobbit. That was like his first book because he just got there. And we've never had a language in our home of you are behind or delayed, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's that he was given the opportunity to really start developing at 2.5.
Right.
And and so I've never really spoken. It's actually going to make me emotional because I've never really talked about this out loud.
Yeah.
And I think it makes me emotional thinking about, what if we didn't have the ability to homeschool, or if my son had to go into a system where there wasn't space for him to be on his own timeline. And as moms, I think our biggest goal is for our kids to have confidence in themselves
Right.
and being able to heal our children and hold space for them to grow and expand is such a gift.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing I think I need to do a whole podcast episode on, and I'm saying this in quotations because people are just listening, they can't hear, but delays.
Mm.
Um, and especially you coming from your being a teacher, and our society puts so many heavy expectations of what should be. And there's, you go to the pediatrician and there's those milestone markers, and it's great to see, okay, this is kind of an idea of where things should be, because it gives us a frame of reference and it helps us see when our kids are off track. But
Sure.
also, it places this really heavy pressure on, whoa, you're like really failing as a mom. Your child's
Yeah.
really not matching this timeline at all.
Yeah.
And so, years and years down the road for us, like, it still surfaces so much in me to
Mm.
have this conversation,
Yeah.
because as moms, we internalize it like we've failed somehow. And every single day, it's still really surreal that we get to share this healing. And, I'll say it on every single Instagram post that I share, is that this saved my son. This forever changed our life. And this is the part that I really mean by that, is he is a thriving 11-year-old. Like, he is well beyond his years now because we were able to heal his body
Yeah.
and give him time to, I don't know what other words to say, but it's not catch up, but for his development and his body to align.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that about Zion. And I really started to share this to give you hope that you don't have to be on anybody else's timeline. You get to be on his timeline. And the developmental leaps that you are experiencing, that's where this is going. You are on the road to an absolutely thriving child who, not to say that he is not thriving now, because you have come so far, but it's only going to continue. And you get to have your child. That's the most emotional part of this healing is people can't understand until they've gone through it, but you get to have your child back, like the child that their spirit and their body align the way
Yeah.
that it was meant to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had hoped for that, but when you're in the thick of it, it's just like you feel so at a loss, and with the system saying he's not meeting these milestones, he is and putting these labels on, or these like lifelong, yeah, labels, like he is this, he will be this. And it was just like, how could you say that? Like, and I felt the same way as you. Like, I think he's on his own timeline. Like, I know he can thrive, but I also want to figure out, how do I help him get there? And it feels so overwhelming when you're just trying to figure it out and find somebody who's going to help you figure it out too. So I'm so grateful for you, because without Only, I mean, I started crying yesterday thinking about it. Like, I don't even want to go there because
I know.
yeah, I don't even want to go there. So I'm so, so grateful.
It's really terrifying for me to reflect on and think like, wow, what if we didn't figure this out, if we didn't learn this healing method?
Yeah. I don't even want to know. And then, like, I had just wanted so deeply, because I was like, okay, if we have to go through this, I want some redemption out of it. Like, I don't want this to just be this thing happened and hopefully one day it's in the past. And it was the same with like the trauma for me and delivery. I was like, there has to be something that can come out of this that's good, that's redemptive. And now, like being on the other side of it, I have my mom, my aunt, my friends, like so many people that I know have started rebalancing. And then being in the collective is like, this kind of ties it all together. Like, this is redeeming our story. It wasn't just our experience that's over. I get to now use the really hard and the really, dark and the really beautiful from all of it and tie it together, and now step into other people's healing and get to just walk alongside them and say, no, there is hope, there is light. Like, every single day that you're doing this is one step closer to healing. I feel like I say that all the time in the collective because it's so true. It's like, hang on, it's there for you too. It's not an isolated thing. It's not just my kid, it's not just your son. Like, it's for you too. So it just feels like it's just been this beautiful redemptive story.
Well, that is where Only was born. Is there's no way that we went through this and it ends there. Like, and there's no way that our family is the only family that's ever gone through this.
Right.
This healing has to be available to families who need it.
Yeah.
And so that's where it Only came from. And the collective is this extension of the impact that we get to make. That is, I saw a post in there the other day and she's like, has anybody else completely gone off their social media and just comes here? And then there was a comment on that, like, yeah, I haven't gone on Instagram in days because I only want to be here. And that for me was just this moment of, wow, this is this is something really big and really powerful. And it's meeting moms in this really hard season of life
Yeah.
when we all felt so alone. I know, I
Yeah.
mean, I was so alone. And I don't know about you, Katie, but I know that you come from a more Western background. And Ty, my husband's family, he's very, very Western and love them so much. It was so hard because they had no understanding of why I wouldn't just be accepting the steroid creams and, just trust the doctors. Like, they know what they're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And that makes it so hard. And so I don't know if you experienced that, but I love that you have your whole family rebalancing now.
I'm just like, okay, Dad, you're next. Let's go. Yeah, no, seriously, it's changed our lives, and it's just been a ripple effect. And I think sometimes I do feel like people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, when I have the results, when you've seen my baby from before and now, like, you cannot tell me this didn't work. Like, this healed him. And there were things that we were prescribed that I'm like, thank God I listened to my gut. Like, thank God we didn't do the heavier steroids and the prescription drugs just in case.
Well,
And
there's so many parts to that because thank God that you didn't, because you would have masked the real issue,
exactly.
right? And it would have gotten worse and worse and worse. And then where would you be?
Yeah.
And then the other part is being in the collective, you have the opportunity to really see these families who did use the steroid creams. And I say this with zero judgment because we're all just doing our best. And
Right.
it is a miracle that we made it through without the steroid creams. And now being in the collective and seeing, I mean, I don't even know how many families are in there with topical steroid withdrawal
Yeah.
and how intense and heartbreaking it is. But every single time I see one of their posts and their pictures, my heart aches because
Yeah.
we could have so easily been there.
Yeah.
And they're going to make it through. They're going to heal. The healing timeline is long, it's not fast,
Yeah.
but we are reading their wins in the community every single day. And wow, it's so powerful.
It is so neat. And my favorite part of the collective is like, I love getting to answer questions alongside Abby, but my favorite part is when moms in the collective start commenting on the other moms' posts and just, I mean, it's so often like I'm experiencing the same thing. My kid had the same thing. My kid's poop looks the same as your kids. It's just like so comforting. Like I wish I would have had that instead of having to just scroll Instagram to numb. Like to have a place in the darkest nights of our like waiting for healing, to have a place where I could have been like, oh, that's normal. They're experiencing that too. Like their die off is the same as our, like, it would have changed
Totally.
everything. So I just wish I could tell everybody, like, run to the collective because if you feel alone, you're not. Like, and you can experience the reality that you're not in such a beautiful space. So it's just been such a gift.
It is such a gift. And there's so much power in being in a collective space where everybody's rising up together,
Yeah.
everybody's healing together, and everybody's on their own unique timeline. And they started rebalancing at different times. And they're, some people are 3 days in, and some people are 160 days in, and it's okay. There's not a timeline that you have to be attached to. You can rebalance for as long as your body needs. You are on your timeline, and being in the space with people who are so new to this and people who have been at it for a while is really, really neat because for the people who are further in it, it reminds us how far we come. Because
Yeah.
just like you were saying earlier, sometimes like we experience such huge transformation and so much healing that we forget how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of the survival mechanism of our brain
Mhm.
is it helps us forget the really, really bad. And
Right.
that's beautiful, but it's also really powerful to sometimes remember how far we've come because that keeps us going when we hit a little dip in the road or we feel like we're going backwards for a minute. And
Right.
that's what the space is for. So before we talk any more about the community, I know that you are now rebalancing Jet, and I want to hear about his.
Yeah. So it seems like these symptoms are showing up again in Jet the same way they were showing up in Zion. He was born C-section too. So again, this is all kind of the puzzle is kind of already laid out in front of us. I had been wanting to rebalance Jet since he was born, but I was so focused on Zion's symptoms and they were so overwhelming at the time that I had to put that on pause for a little bit and he was, doing fine and thriving. But he's had some pretty excessive reflux as well. He was diagnosed with eczema, and it's just so interesting going through it with Jet now because my mindset and my approach to it and my attitude about it is just like, oh. Like, he's going to be healed. And I think sometimes people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, no, I'm like so confident in this that I'm just like waiting to show everybody the pictures of his skin. I'm just waiting. And he's been on it for maybe like 35, 40 days at this point. And he was spitting up so much. Like I was doing like maybe 4 to 5 loads of laundry a day for
Oh my
Jet.
gosh.
Yeah. Um, and now it's maybe once a day, like maybe. And it's only like started dropping since we've been rebalancing him. So I've been telling everyone like, okay, at the beginning I was like, just wait a couple days, like a couple weeks, it's gonna be gone. And so I was just talking to my husband about it the other day. I was like, can you believe it? Like I told you this was coming. So his skin is starting to look better. I think those were the two main symptoms. He also was struggling with milk, with dairy when he was born. And, next time if we do get pregnant again, I plan to do things a lot differently. I didn't have a lot of help breastfeeding with Zion. And so I was sorry, this sounds like a tangent, but it connects. Um, I was told basically I was not equipped to breastfeed. So I thought, okay, well, I can't do that. So we'll do formula. And then with Jet, I went into it like, okay, I am not equipped to breastfeed, so I probably can't do it. And so I kind of tried, but I just felt like I didn't really have this, like the mental, emotional support that I needed to like press through. And so I was told that he had like a dairy allergy. So he's been on goat milk formula, but I don't know if there's I mean, it's all his gut, but, and now I've started giving him some dairy just to see, and it's like no reaction at all. So I'm like, so grateful. And I just, because we're in the middle, I'm like, oh, we just have so much more healing to come that I'm so excited about. So, yeah, it's been really sweet to see already and really sweet to have so much more hope this time around from right off the bat.
Well, and it's really, really incredible when you get to go through this with for a second time with a
Hmm.
second child. That's really where I started only was so our second son experienced all of it. And then a couple of years later, our fourth son did. And it was at that time where I was like, oh, I rebalanced my gut when healing our second child because I was pregnant and breastfeeding and I wanted to further support his healing. And our naturopath had taught me I had passed this imbalance on during pregnancy and birth without knowing it.
Hmm.
And so I rebalanced and my pregnancy and postpartum was unbelievable with our third. Our third, he is the most rock solid, healthy, stable child I have ever known in my life. And I attribute that to that rebalance, but I was still very naive. I didn't know. I thought, okay, well, we did it. We're going to close that door.
Mm.
Our second son is healed. Third baby, so healthy. Our guts are taken care of. And I didn't have the knowledge to know, oh, our guts actually fluctuate all the time. And pregnancy is, of course, very natural and beautiful, but it's also very hard on our microbiome. And most women, if you don't go into pregnancy with an imbalance, which most people do, you develop some type of imbalance during pregnancy. And I didn't know this. And so had my fourth, 4 months old hit, and suddenly he was just flooded with all of the symptoms. And
Really?
I was like, okay, I know exactly what to do. I remember when it hit, we are traveling on the west coast of Vancouver Island, and I called our naturopath. Can you please send me the supplements? I need them here now. We booked it down to Washington so that we could get it in the States because it's going to be too long in customs and started. And he experiences healing so fast because we caught it so early.
Wow.
And it was at that time where I was convinced because just like you were saying, so we experienced this with our second and saw how strong our third was, but both Ty and I were just like, I don't know. Did it really work? Like, was it really from that? And
Right.
then we got to go through it with our fourth. And Bird's transformation, just like, I was just like, there is no way. There is no way that half of our kids, two of our four kids went through this. And This time I documented before and every day throughout the rebalance. And I was just like, we have to share this. Our naturopath is retiring. He can only serve so many people in our little town in Montana. We were on a wait list for so many months with our second kid because this healing works. And
Yeah.
so it's so many words to say, but I share this experience with you of going through it a second time with a second child and going in it with this confidence and
Mhm.
just knowing, okay, this is exactly what's going on. We're going to get through this. We've got all the tools. I have
Mhm.
all the information and you make it. And it's a miracle when you get to experience it that second time because you're like, okay, this isn't a fluke. It
Right.
really, really, really is working.
Right.
And that is what gave me the confidence and the passion to share this. And I imagine has been a huge part of you being in the collective.
I mean, I can't stop talking about it in my normal life because it's just been night and day. Like, and I just keep thinking, like, I can't not share it with people because one, a lot of people don't know they have a gut imbalance. Two, a lot of people have these symptoms and are going to Western medicine and they don't know that these are going to mask their symptoms or make things worse. And so I'm like, if I can just share it with one person, who then can share it with one person because I heard it from you, and then I get to share it with someone else. And then if it becomes this ripple effect, then all of these people are being healed. And so it's just been, yeah, I feel like it's changed our lives. It's changed our lifestyle. It's changed our diet and all for the better. Like I don't want to live without silver and rebalancing anymore. And I almost like I said, I don't want to stop because of how much progress that my sons have both made. I'm just like, there's so much more ahead too. I don't want to get back to a place of being imbalanced. I want them to be healthy and thriving. And I've seen what they can do and their bodies can do when they are balanced. So,
Well, and both of them will get to a point you will know one day. You're like, okay, their guts are fully in balance. Like we have gone weeks without any symptoms. We are sleeping so well.
mhm.
The development is just like on this huge upward trajectory. And you will just wake up and feel this like calm in your body where you're just like, okay, and I'm saying this in quotes again, we've made it because we
Yeah,
don't ever, it's not, that's the mistake I made thinking that, okay, we can close that door, that chapter's done.
yeah.
But our microbiome is always fluctuating and we are chronically exposed to toxins and parasites and heavy metals. And that's the point when you wake up with that calm, that's when you move into maintenance. And
Mm.
that's when I mean like my family has really adopted this as a lifestyle. That's what I mean. I will never go a day without this because I'm never going to go back there. My goal in motherhood is for my family to thrive. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to help us do that and maintaining there's zero risk to maintaining this balance. And this is a question that comes in a lot from people who are new to the only world. Like, how long am I going to have to take these supplements? Is this forever? Well, you get to make that choice. Like, and I really genuinely mean that. Like, a lot of people do rebalance, get to a state of balance. Maybe it's with one rebalancing cycle or four. It doesn't matter how many it takes,
Hmm.
but they arrive at this state of balance and they stop and they do fine. And then maybe they'll do maintenance rebalancing annually, and everybody finds their own path of how it works for them. But
Hmm.
for my family and from everything that we have gone through and learned, I will never go a day without it because I'm going to fight to protect this.
Yeah, yeah, same. I know.
Our great grandparents didn't have to do this, right? They weren't chronically exposed to all the toxins and pollution and pesticides that we are.
Right.
And the soil had a lot more good microbiome living in abundance that
Hmm.
our farming practices today, we're not getting that. And that's a huge part of Bind and Remineralize is it's giving us that earth, ancient, really good living microbiome.
Yeah.
And so I could go on about those two all day. But okay, Katie, what would you, if there's somebody listening where they're like, oh, okay, goodness, this sounds so amazing. It sounds too good to be true. They are where you were. What do you want to say to them?
I think just what I said before was like, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And the healing is possible for everybody. It's not just selective and it's not just for, one kid here, one woman there. It's like it can heal you from the inside out and you can become who you were meant to be and thrive and be healthy. And so I would just say, go all, if you're going to do it, go all in because it's so worth it. And like I said before, there is nothing in our diet that I would have rather had in exchange for my son's healing. Like I just, I would say to like see it as an opportunity to grow and thrive and don't look at it as like restrictive or I have to take these things out or I can't have this thing. It's like, what about looking at it like I can have healing? I can thrive. I can live life to the fullest. So, yeah, I would say go all in. Like you have everything to gain.
I love that so much. And when you hold that perspective, it's actually really fun. Have you experienced that where learning to cook differently and learning to modify recipes,
Yeah.
it is so fun. And I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity of stumbling into a coffee shop or a little cafe or something where they have really lovely organic meal or treat that
Mm-hmm.
matches this microbiome lifestyle and how much you get to appreciate it.
Yeah,
For me, I choose that all day, every day over being able to grab anything off the shelf that we wanted. And
totally.
I mean, because, and I said that I should say that differently. If every single thing was available, we don't appreciate it as much.
Yeah, it's so true.
And every day we get to make the choice to thrive. And there are so many amazing foods that we get to indulge in and nourish our bodies at the same time. And really, I love how you said this is an invitation to expand as a human being and to really step into the woman and the mother that you were always meant to be. And maybe you're here listening to this because your child is struggling. And that's how most of the women find their way here is they arrive to heal their children
Yeah.
and end up healing themselves in the process.
Hmm.
And I think that is one of the most incredible things that we get to experience in the collective too is these women, parts of us get to heal that we never even knew needed healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now for the collective, maybe somebody's been listening and they've been rebalancing for a while, they've not yet joined the collective. Will you speak to that woman for a minute?
Yes. Ugh, it is, like I said, I wish that I had it when I was going through all of my son's symptoms. It's just a place where other people are experiencing the same thing you are, and you get to see that. You get to ask your questions, and Abby and I get to respond to those and kind of make sense of the die off or the flares, or I mean, people were even sharing recipes recently. So that was so cool. Um, it's just, if you're feeling alone, it's the perfect place for you because you realize really quickly that you're not. And it's just a place for community and a place to feel encouraged for yeah, for other people who get to come alongside you and just sit in the hard days with you and celebrate and rejoice in the wins. And so, yeah, I cannot recommend it enough.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks for having me. This is so
I'm
special.
so happy to have had this conversation with you. And it's really such an honor to be able to be in the collective alongside you and to part of your family's healing. And I'm so grateful that you trusted your mama intuition and you took the leap. And I can't wait to see how all of you continue to evolve. And if you guys do get pregnant again, when you rebalance in pregnancy and have it crossover with your postpartum, that your third baby doesn't have to go through this. You
I
don't have to do this.
I cannot wait. It is just it's like for the first time in 2 years I've like had hope again going through all of this and rebalancing my kids, and it's been so beautiful. So I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for Only, and just yeah, our lives are different because of you. So thank you.
Your lives are different because of you, Katie, because you have been such a strong leader for your family and because you've gone into this with full trust and that that power of transformation is all you.
Thanks. It's a team effort.
Before we wrap up, I love closing out the podcast with answers to your questions and your transformations. This is my favorite way to stay connected and support you, no matter where you are in your healing journey. If you want to submit a question, I open up a question box every month in my Instagram stories and inside our private community, the Rebalancing Collective. Watch for those. Send your questions and make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you are sure to hear the answer. Now, let's get into it. A transformation, a question from someone who has never rebalanced, and a question from someone currently rebalancing. This transformation is one of those reminders that we are never stuck where we are. Whether your child struggles with constipation, food aversions, or eczema, it all connects back to their gut health. This mama trusted her intuition, and here's what unfolded from her giving him Cleanse and Nourish, two of the supplements in the Children's Gut Rebalance Kit. Hi, my son had severe constipation for 5 months before we started your cleanse a month ago and has been on and off heavy Miralax and Senna. And since we started your cleanse, he has not needed either. He has maybe 2 to 4 poops a day now, and they're not hard. We originally went on it for some severe eczema, but we were very pleased that it helped us with the constipation problem. We started adding the probiotic 2 weeks ago and have seen the most improvement we have seen since starting this journey 6 months ago. Thank you for your products. Now, the first question. What is the best thing we can do for our babies regarding health in general? Hands down, the best thing you can do to support your child is support their gut microbiome from the beginning. But no matter how old your child is, it is never too late. Our children inherit our imbalances. So, whether they are dealing with skin issues, sleep struggles, colic, or food sensitivities, the root issue is the same. Rebalancing their gut helps their immune system thrive, supports their nervous system, and allows their little bodies to develop with resilience. If I could go back in my own motherhood with all the knowledge that I now have from our journey and from walking so many families through this healing, I would rebalance my gut before getting pregnant, throughout pregnancy, and for a few months postpartum. This would set my baby up with the strongest, most resilient microbiome, and with it, better immunity, development, and mental health. So it would actually start before I even had children. But wherever you are, If your children, maybe you have an 18-year-old, maybe you have an 18-month-old, it is never too late. Go listen to episode 159 with my husband, Ty. He didn't get to experience this healing until he was 41 years old, and it has completely transformed his life. It's never too late. Start where you are, but balance your gut. Your entire body functions based on the health of your gut microbiome. Our second question: phases when we aren't eating the healthiest, how does it benefit to take cleanse and the probiotics? This is such a good question because life is never perfect. When we are in a season where maybe you're traveling more, you're celebrating, maybe you're not as intentional with the foods that you're eating, that's when overgrowths can take hold. Taking cleanse and nourish probiotic during those phases helps protect your gut. It clears the harmful overgrowths and it replenishes your good bacteria, all of which supports your immune system. It's like giving your body backup support to stay in balance even when life happens. That's the whole point of all of this, is to get to a state of balance where our bodies are strong and resilient and we get to go about our day-to-day life without fear, from a very empowered place where we know how and we have the tools to help keep us protected. We don't have to be perfect. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or a family member who's ready to lead her family's healing. Everything mentioned in this episode is linked down below for you in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to the Nourish newsletter, also linked down below, so you never miss an episode. I will email you the latest episode every Tuesday morning. Everything shared on this show is for educational purposes only, not intended as medical advice. Until next time, trust your body and follow your gut.